Hey everyone, welcome back. In the last video we built and installed the skeg box, and now we are almost to the point in the build where the deck and hull get attached. A couple more things to go here though. The last thing I need to do to the hull is mount the bolts for the footrests, and then after that I'll cut out the hatches from the deck and install the parts for the hatches. I call these parts the hatch coamings. I don't really remember what they're actually called, but it's the riser and the lip that the foam tape will go on, but it's on the inside of the deck instead of the outside. So first I want to install the bolts that the foot braces will get mounted to, and there are kits out there for these bolts. I don't like drilling holes through the boat. I found these elevator bolts on Amazon that work just as well, and they're a lot cheaper, so that's what I use. But I need to figure out the position for these things, so I put in the bulkheads where they're going to be, and I want to make sure I don't accidentally mount these things overlapping the bulkheads, because that would be really dumb. So with some super precise positioning, I figure out where my feet are going to be, and you would think I would have already figured this stuff out having designed this boat. And maybe I did, but still a little double checking doesn't hurt. So now I'm going to use the foot braces with the bolts in them and sort of dry fit them in place so that I can mark where the bolts will go in the hull. After I know the position, I then take everything off and I scuffed the insides of the hull there where the marks are to give it a little bit of tooth for the epoxy to grab. And then I like to do this combination of epoxy, and then just on the side I use a dab of thickened crazy glue to help hold it in place while it cures. That way I don't have to stand there or clamp it or anything like that. I can just carry on with the process. So the crazy glue is going to act as a finger to hold it, and the epoxy of course will do its job. One day I won't be so messy. But I get a little bit of epoxy underneath, and then I dab it with the crazy glue, and using the crazy glue method I can then go straight into glassing. So then after that's done I'll put on the pieces of glass. I used to have to wait for the epoxy to set and then I'd glass it, but using that crazy glue I can just do it all at once. It makes it a lot faster. And those bolts I'm using are 2 inches long, and of course that's way too long for the foot braces, but I'll trim those back later on. So I let that set on the front, and then I put the braces back on to make sure I get the position for the rear bolts correct. I don't want to accidentally be off by even just a little bit, to make sure they'll fit. So again, let the front set and then use them again to get the spacing exactly right for the rear bolts. So here I'm just putting them back on, and I'll actually epoxy underneath them with the things on. And I'll do the same trick with the crazy glue. I just have to be careful here not to accidentally yank it off when I'm taking the foot brace off. That thing will act like a lever and it'll very quickly just pull it right back off. The crazy glue isn't very strong. But kind of the same idea. With that crazy glue holding it in place, I can get straight into the glassing. And here I'm putting the foot braces back on, I guess while it cures, in order to make sure it's in place. Not sure that was completely necessary, but it worked, I guess. Here we are. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Alright, we'll let that set. I think I say that. Alright, we'll let that set. Oh, yep, I said that. Anyway, here I have the braces on so that I can see what length I need those bolts at, and now I'm trimming them off. Alright, we'll wipe it out. It's time to attach the deck and the hull. Almost. It's almost time to connect the deck and the hull. First I want to get these hatches cut. These hatch combing spacers, whatever you want to call them, are sort of one size fits all, so I just put them in place, trace the deck, and then I will trim them to length to fit wherever it is that I have them going. And I just need to be conscious of things like bulkheads and how I want to do the bungee cord on the deck. So a little bit of planning ahead is necessary here, but really it's just I kind of wing it every time as far as where these things actually end up. And then to get a pilot hole, I just drill out a bunch of spots with a little drill bit to get a hole big enough for the saw. And it is nerve-wracking cutting holes in your boat, but you kind of just like embrace the nerve-wrackingness of it, if that's a word. Just go for it. One down, one to go. Because if it's all a mess, it's a story, right? Whatever it is, wood and epoxy, you can fix your mistakes, and then, yeah, you'll have a story if you screw it all up. So just jump in. Don't get, analysis paralysis or whatever it's called. Chop it up. That was not planned. I did not mean for that hatch cover to fall on the floor like that. I guess we're making progress. Nerve-wracking progress. At least once the holes are cut, you can breathe. So I've got the spacers in place here, and you see I'm just trimming them so that they will fit, and then we'll get the boat flipped over and get them epoxied in place. I'm not sure why I'm cutting it here, because I cut it wrong and there's now a gap, but I fix it by filling that gap with some thickened epoxy. So it'll end up being alright, but I didn't need to cut it that wide. So all it takes on these boats is one layer of the spacer, and then I can glue on the, oh, there I am filling in that hole, but one layer of spacer, and then I can glue on the shelf that holds the foam tape for the hatches to actually sit on. And with the thickness of the tape I use, that spacing works out perfectly. And ideally, it's nice if you can fit your head inside of a hatch, you know, because when you're building the boat, it's nice to be able to look inside, but sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. It ended up not working out on this one. I couldn't get my head in there after the fact, but that's a minor complaint. And then we'll repeat the process back here. Just trim them and mark them and trim them. And I just do one side at a time to try to make sure it's right. And unfortunately, I seem to have lost a little bit of footage, so I'm not going to have the shot of me actually gluing this and the shelf in place, but I think you get the idea from the first one, so yeah. I don't know if I didn't film it, or, you know, if my cheese slid off my cracker and I forgot what I was doing, but that's going to do it. So anyway, thank you for watching, and yeah, plenty more to come. On the next video, we are going to connect the deck and the hull, so that's a big step. So, alright, we'll see you then. Later.